Okay, so after having found the letter in the word, or letters, by the various locations of them, we need to put those in our guess. So think how you play your traditional game of Hangman. You'd basically be drawing a series of spaces or little blank lines for each letter. So again, going back to our code design, what did that tell us? It told us after we found a letter in a word, we needed to replace our guess or the letters in the guess with those newly found letters. So what do we need to do this? Well, obviously the first thing we need to do is get our current guess. So we've got to see what our current guess looks like. So if our word is television, our current guess, which is where we're at the moment, is going to be obviously we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think that's 10, isn't it? 4, 6. Looks like 11 letters to me there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 letters. So that's going to be my current guess. It's basically all empty spaces. Now I could put spaces between them, but I'm not going to, because at some point I want to see if my current guess is the same as my word. Now I've got the word here and I've called it word. Maybe that's not the best name for it. Maybe I ought to call it the actual word, because this is the actual word we're trying to guess. So when I call this thing, I need to call it and pass it an actual word, and the word, actual word. It doesn't matter again that it's got a different name down in the function, because just down there it's just being passed into a variable called word. So I've now got a current guess. Just check I've not messed anything up. Just run that. Yeah, television C was not found in there. So the next thing I need to do is, having found an E everywhere in this current guess where we've now discovered the E needs to go, I need to put it at that location. So again, I need a separate function to do this. So in this case, I'm going to pass this function the letters that I found. I'm going to pass it the location where I found them, and I'm going to pass it the current guess, so it can actually change that as well. So my function, I'm going to call it something like add found, because I've found the location, to my guess. It's a bit of a mouthful of a function like that. I might have to think about that. What do I need to pass in there? Well, I need to pass in the current guess. I need to also tell it the locations where the letters have been found. I've called that locations back up here. Now remember, that's actually a list I'm passing in because it can contain 1, 0, none or more. And I need to pass in the actual letter. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward, and it would seem to be fairly straightforward what I want to do in here. Each letter in that I've found, I need to replace it in the current guess. So I could write a loop and go round each of the items in the locations list, but if you remember, you can actually iterate through a list. So I can just say for letter in locations. Maybe it's, I have to call it index actually. Index is a better name. For index in location. So remember that what that will do. Remember, locations is a list. It might contain 1 or more elements, and if there's 1 element in, index will take the first value of that list and do the loop. If there's more values in this list, it'll take them 1 at a turn and go around in there. So what do we do in each case? Well, just to understand it, first of all, I'm just going to say print index, just so we can see what's going on in here. And I'm going to, well, I think we'll just print it for the moment. I'm going to take that function. I'm going to call that function from main. Again, because I've used the same variables in main, I can just copy the function back up there with all the same variables. So let's just run that and see what happens. Okay, locations is not defined there in line 21. Help if I can spell locations right. Okay, so letter C was found. It's not printing anything because it wasn't found anywhere. Let's just put E in because we know that was found twice. So it says word found at locations 1 and 3. It's called the function. You can see it's printed here 1 and 3. Why is it printed 1 and 3? Because we're going around this loop for indexing locations. Location is a list with the values 1 and 3 in. So index takes the value 1 and it runs the loop, and then it takes the value 3 and it runs the loop. So what do we want to do in here? Well, we want to take the current guess and we want to look at, sorry, plus out there, it's an underscore. We want to go particularly to that index location. So that's now got the value index. And I want to change that to a new letter. Okay. Because I'm saying I found letter at this position, so this should go around and replace each letter. Let's just run that. Okay, and we get this error, str object does not support item assignment. And that's at line 22, which is this current guess brackets indexes letter. So what's all that about? Well, for those of you who've remembered, current guess is a string. A string is immutable, which means we can't change it. So you can't go into a string and change an individual letter within a string. It just doesn't work like that. So just to reiterate the problem, here you go. We've got a variable here called place, and I've assigned it the string cent_neats. We now want to change cent_neats to cent_piets, so I want to change the capital N to a P, and as we've just demonstrated, if we do place square brackets 3 is assigned the string P, it doesn't work because we can't change the letter within a string because strings are immutable. So the obvious question is, that's what we'd like to do, we'd like to change it from an N to a P, but it ain't going to work. So what do we actually have to do? Well, what we do is we split the string up using string slicing, and we take the bits before and after the letter we want. So if we want the string before position 3, then we go from 0 to 3, because remember it doesn't go up to the value 3, it goes up to 1 before, and this will extract the string st and a space. So we've managed now to get the bit of the string before the letter we want. We want to ignore the letter, and then we want the string from after the letter to the end. So if we're interested in the position changing letter 3, we now want the string from 4 to the end, so we do place 4 square brackets 4 colon and then leave it blank, because that'll go to the end and that'll get us our its. So how does that actually help us? Well, if we look at it in bit by bit now, what do? We say place equals, or is assigned place 0 to 3, which we've just shown you is the st and space part. We then add to that string the letter P, so we add another string to that. Remember, a plus is merely concatenation, it adds strings together. And then we add to that all the letters after the one we're interested in, so that's from 4 to the end, and that will get the its. So we've basically built a new string from bits of the old string and just swap the letter we want. And then obviously the assignment statement, place is assigned, which is at the beginning of the line, merely moves the label, so place now points to our new string. And that's how we change the letter in a string. So applying that now to our bit of code, we're now going around the loop looking for index. Knowing index in location. So remember, locations is a list showing me all the positions that the given letter is actually at. So I need to go up to this position index, and I need to get the part of the string up to the index, and then I need to replace the letter and the part of the string after the index. So how will I do that? Well, our current guess is going to be assigned our current guess up to, from the beginning of the string up to the index value. So that will get everything from before the letter. I then want to add in the actual letter, which is the one that we've just discovered. And then I want to go from one after the letter, which will obviously be index plus 1, all the way to the end of the string. And that's it. So we'll go around there now, replacing effectively the letter at position index with whichever letter is passed in for as many locations as we found it. And what do we want our function to do? Well, obviously at the end, because it's a string, we need to get it back out of our function, so we need to return the current guess back out of our function. So if all that works, when we call our function add to current guess up here, that will now return us a string current guess. So I just assign it back to the string current guess. And what I ought to do now is print our current guess to see if it's put the letters in the right place. Okay, got my apostrophe instead of a comma. There we go. So let's see how this runs now. So what I'm doing, I'm looking for an E in televisions. Oh, current is not defined. I've said current. I missed the word guess out there. I can see it straight away. Okay. There we go, and it's something E T E L E V I. Well, I presume it's got the right number of letters in at the end. So it certainly seems to have worked. We're heading along the right lines. It's certainly put an E in the location there for us, which is quite good. Shall we just try it with one more to satisfy ourselves? What's the other one? S occurs a couple of times. So let's put an S in. And yeah, it's got the S at the end of televisions and S-I-O. It looks like there's enough spaces. Now clearly our printing out here isn't really very clear, and I need to look at that to see how many letters I actually need to fill in. So we'll think about that in a moment. Okay, so let's actually tackle that problem now. As we've just shown, our current guess is a series of underscore characters, and when we actually run our particular program here, it's not very clear how many characters are in here because all the underscores are run together. So what we really need to do is to print spaces between the underscore characters. So this is where we're printing our current guess at the moment. We don't want to actually change current guess because we don't want to put extra spaces in there. We want the current guess just to be the letters, but we need, when we print this out, to print more spaces. Now we could mess around with kind of here within our main function printing out the spaces, but it's much neater if we put it in a function. So I'm going to define a function. I'm going to call this formatted current guess. Well, I'm just going to call it formatted guess actually. And what we're going to do is we're going to pass this function the current guess. Now notice I haven't called the function print, so the function is not actually going to print this current guess. What it's going to do is produce me a formatted version of the current guess. Okay, so there's my function definition, pretty straightforward. So my formatted output, well, it's going to start being an empty string because I'm going to have to build it as we go on. And what I want to do is for letter in current guess. So that's going to take each letter in turn out of the current guess within a loop, and I've now got access to it through the variable letter. I'm going to take this formatted output string, which starts life as a null string, and I'm going to add to it the actual letter, spell letter right, and I'm going to add in there a space. Okay. So we're building a new string called formatted output, which starts as an empty string, and each time around the loop, which is for each letter in our current guess, which starts as a series of underscore characters, I'm building a string called formatted, not with so many T's, formatted output with a letter followed by a space. So this should space everything out. So at the end of this loop here, my output called formatted output should have all the spaces in that I need, and I just need to return it. So I'm going to now return that string there called formatted output. So again, just to reiterate, this function formatted guess is not printing it. That's why I'm not called or use the name print in the function. It's just producing me this formatted output. So when I call the function formatted guess, its return value is the formatted string with all the extra spaces in it, which means to use it, all I need to do is call it. And I'm going to call it from within this print statement here, because within the print statement, when it returns a value, which is our formatted string, it becomes part of this print statement, and it will print current guess space, and then it'll actually give me the formatted guess. So let's have a look and see if that works. Okay, so this was our S in televisions. Current guess is S. Okay, so that's not quite doing what I was expecting. I should have got more than the S back. So it's somewhere up here, formatted guess, it's printing an S rather than the whole string. So it's probably something to do with my function. The more astute of you may have spotted what the problem is already, but to show you how to debug this, what I need to do is just find out what the value of this formatted output is before I actually exit from the function. So I'm just printing this double X there just so I can know exactly where I am in the program. I know that this is the only place I'm printing this double X, and I'm just going to see what the value of formatted output is at that point in the program. Just see. So I'm within the function there. I'm just going to run that again. Okay, so it prints XX and then an S. So this value here, formatted function, has got the wrong value at that point there. So it must be in the line above. Formatted output is assigned letter plus space. Well, obviously that's where it's wrong, because this formatted output I should be building each time I'm in the loop by adding to the previous iteration the new letter plus an extra space. So I need to take this formatted output here and make sure that's also in the right hand side of the assignment statement as I'm building it. I've just spotted another mistake. I've got 3 T's up there and there should only be 2. So let's see if that works now. Excellent. So our word was televisions, and now you can see I'm printing at our guess here by having TELEVISIONS. Brilliant. So it's a lot clearer now and we can see what we're doing. So that's quite a good example there of how we've used a function, formatted guess, that's returned the text for us with the formatting that we want, which was all these spaces, and the return value is returned into a print statement, so it's actually then printed as part of that print statement, and it saves me having to put it into a variable and then print it from the variable. I can just put the function call within the print statement, and it kind of makes sense. Print the word current guess and then a formatted guess of the current guess. So again, it kind of reads like English. Okay, hopefully that bit has made sense. So we've got our main component now where we can go and find a letter or letters within a given word, and we've now got the function to put those found letters into our guess. Well, all that remains really is to wrap the whole thing up in a loop and make sure it's all kind of tidy, and maybe give some kind of life counter as you would in Hangman to finish the game. So we'll look at that in the next video. Thanks, bye.